Hi, I'm Jeannie Darneille, and I'm proud to represent many fine neighborhoods in Tacoma and Fife. I'm glad you've tuned in because I'd like to tell you why I'm supporting efforts to amend Initiative 960. That's the initiative that requires a 2/3 vote of the legislature or a public vote before the state can raise any revenues or close tax loopholes. Most people in the 27th District opposed Initiative 960 when it was on the ballot. Even so, it squeaked by with 51% of the statewide vote. So I'd like to explain why we need to amend it. All initiatives can be, and often are, amended after 2 years, but it's especially important that we amend Initiative 960. The main problem is that it was passed before we were hit with the worst recession since the Great Depression. This terrible recession has already forced us to cut nearly $4 billion from important services. We must make more painful services reductions cuts this year. But unless we amend Initiative 960 and get the flexibility we need to close tax loopholes and raise revenues before the legislative session ends, we would have to cut services so deeply that the losses would violate our public duties and fundamental values. Education at all levels, from early childhood to college, would be devastated. Thousands more children and families would lose health care coverage and vital social services. Even hospice care for dying patients would be cut in the proposed No New Revenues budget. What we are proposing is a 1-year suspension of Initiative 960. We would also permanently amend Initiative 960 to allow things like closing tax loopholes and transferring money between state accounts without a public or 2/3 votes. For example, these changes would let us close the B&O tax loophole that actually gives out-of-state businesses a competitive advantage in Washington markets. That would help save Washington jobs and provide $375 million to save state services next biennium. I don't think most people would consider fixing such things raising taxes, but these and other common sense actions are not doable under I-960. Friends, we really do have a revenue crisis. State general fund revenues are actually $1 billion lower than they were in the 2005 biennium. As your representative, I know you want a good education system and quality care for our elderly, disabled, and disadvantaged neighbors. I am willing to close tax loopholes and consider additional tax revenue sources to meet those needs. Amending I-960 would allow us to bring our revenue closer to what they were in the 2005 budget period. That would help us save many vital services that people need. It would help us to get through this temporary economic crisis with our permanent moral values and duties intact. Thanks so much for listening.